Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make a card from the catalog. This card can be found on page 16 of our 22 to 2023 annual catalog, and it uses the Bottled Happiness stamp set as well as the coordinating punch. So I did go ahead and buy the bundle, and I'm so excited to have this. I had bought this a couple of weeks ago, and then the day before it arrived, I got sick. So I was not in my craft room for like a week and a half. Yesterday was my first day back up in my craft room, and I am so excited to be back up here. I'm still a little tired, but other than that, I'm feeling great. And I am ready to start crafting. So let me just show you this card really quick. Like I said, it's found on page 16, and I forgot to mark it, but it's not very far in here, so easy to find. And it's this card in the center right here. So this card, I chose it because I also have these fun little shaker bottle domes. Aren't these cute? Sorry about that noise. So you get 10 in a package, and they're kind of thick, but not that thick. There we go. Okay, so they have adhesive on both sides. So you just pull the white part up, the backing up, and stick it to the top of your page or your project, and then you can pull the bottom one off to stick it underneath. These are so fun, and you can see this handy tip right here. So this is showing how you can use your blends to color in the part of the dome here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. I'm just going to use the brush tip and just go a little ways up and add some color, and it's okay if you get it on the edge there like that, not a big deal. I might add another layer of color in a little bit, we'll see, because it's really hard to tell if there's any color there or not. There's a little bit. So I might add another layer later, but can you see? Let me see if I can put... So you can kind of see there's a little bit of blue there. It's not super noticeable, but I'll add a little bit more later, so it'll be a little bit easier to see. But I wanted to start that first. And then I was going to tell you, I did change just a couple of things about this card. The first thing that I changed is this designer series paper on the background. They used the T-Boutique designer series paper, I believe, while I am using this Awash in Beauty. Love this paper, because the other change that I made was, instead of using Petal Pink as my pink, I'm using Blushing Bride, and that's really just a personal preference. I use Petal Pink occasionally, but I love Blushing Bride. So just flipping through here and showing you a bit more of this designer series paper. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you is something that I've actually already done. But I wanted to make sure I didn't leave this part out so that you could see how to do it as well. So I have the Timber 3D embossing folder here. And what I did was I took the Crumb Cake ink pad and opened it up, and then I just lightly tapped my embossing folder. And after I did that, I put a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock in here and embossed as usual. And so that made a stamped embossed image just using the embossing folder. So my piece here is 5/8 of an inch by 3 1/4 inches, and it's to fit on this piece of cardstock that is 4 3/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And I did that ahead of time just because it's difficult for me to record with my camera whenever I am using my big stamp cut and emboss machine, which I have to use with that embossing folder. I can't use the mini. So I'm just gluing this down here on the bottom, and then I'm going to take my punch and I'm just going to center this up as best I can. Of course, I turn it upside down so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get it pretty straight, pretty centered, and I'm putting it all the way in so that the bottom is hitting the bottom of the cardstock here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and punch that bottle out. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Stamparatus, which you don't have to use. It just makes it a lot easier when you're lining up two different stamps, because this is a two-step stamp set. So I'm just gonna sit that right there. I'll put a magnet down here and just a magnet up on the corner. And now I can use this as a guide. Okay, so your two flowers up here, that's how you know where the top is. And then there's a big flower here in the center. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm going to give it a little bit of space, but not too much, around that bottle top. Then I like to use my bone folder to hold that cardstock down. These photopolymer stamps can be kind of sticky. And then I'm going to ink that up with Blushing Bride, or if you prefer, you can use Petal Pink. And I always just pull out gently on this top plate as I'm stamping, so that whenever I restamp, I know that I'm stamping in the same spot. And again, I'm going to use that bone folder. Then I'm going to take my sponge dauber and crushed curry. I got my crushed curry stamp pad, and all of these stamp pads are older stamp pads that I've had a long time. So the stamp pads now have been updated and are a little bit smaller. They don't take up quite so much room. So I'm just inking with a sponge dauber and then tapping it on my stamp. And since I'm using a darker color over the lighter color, I don't have to even clean the stamp off in between. I can just ink right up over that and it's not going to mess anything up. Might make the shade of the crushed curry just a little bit different than it normally would be, but I think that that's okay. Of course, if you don't want to ink over it, you could always use your chamois and go ahead and clean your stamp and then make sure it's dry and go ahead and ink it up. I love that there's so many ways to add color to our stamps so that we can get multiple colors on our projects. Okay, so again, I'm pulling gently out as I lower this down to stamp. And the great thing about this too is, since you can keep restamping in the same spot, if I need to add more yellow, it's not going to be a problem. But that looks great. Okay, so I'm going to take this plate off and put the other one on. You can also just put the other one up at the top, but my camera stand is in the way, so I can't do that right now. Okay, so now this one, you want to line up the insides of the flowers with these yellow flowers. So, and you've got a little bit of wiggle room there to adjust and get it exactly like you like. So then I'll just pick this one up. And then I'm going to ink that up with Pear Pizzazz. I love this green. We have so many great greens depending on your project and what you're doing. You have a lot of greens to choose from. Pear Pizzazz just happens to be one of my go-tos. And I do think I'm going to add just another light touch of that. There we go. What do you think? I love this color combination on these flowers. Okay, so I'm going to close up my inks real quick and then pull out Night of Navy. And I also have a 1" by 3" piece of Pool Party, and this is just a scrap that I had lying around. So I'm going to put it inside my Banners Pick-a-Punch, and I want to make sure I'm putting it in this one here. And I'm just sliding that in. Oops, it's a little crooked. And then, as usual, I'm flipping it over so I can see it upside down and make sure that I'm got it centered up pretty good before I punch. So then I have this nice end on this banner, and I'm going to grab my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut the tip of this off. I want it to be 1" long. So, see if I can get this where you can see it. There we go. Okay, so I'm putting the tip over here at 1". And I recommend doing your punching and then your trimming because it's easier to put a longer piece inside that punch than it is a shorter piece. A shorter piece, you're going to have to get a Post-it note and just kind of finagle it in there. Okay, so now I'm using the Sending Cheer stamp. Y'all, I opened the stamp set yesterday, and look, I've already got it all stained because I've been using pretty much all of it. And I'm not complaining because, like I said, it is nice to be back up in my craft room. Okay, so I'm just stamping that on the center. And now it's time to start putting things together. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at this again and see, let's see. So now that it's dried, I can see it a little bit better, but I am going to add just a little bit more. And I am using the dark Pool Party to do this. Just adding a little bit more ink. There we go. Now it's really showing up. Remember to press lightly with your Stampin' Up marker, with your Stampin' Blends, because you don't want to mess up your tip. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is take the top of this adhesive cover off. If you don't have nails to pull off those adhesive covers, you can always use take your pick tool to help with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is use my Effervescent Elements. I love these. They're just little clear, shiny beads, and you can put as few or as many as you want inside your bottle. Don't want to get too crazy, but I want it pretty full. go. At least halfway full, right? Let's see. Add just a few more. This is a nice big container of these, so it'll last a while. I have little balls falling everywhere. Okay, I'm going to do one more small pinch. That one got away from me. Okay, so now I'm going to take the backing off of this, and I have a small piece of a window sheet. And if you don't want to purchase window sheets, this one is actually a scrap from the sheet that these stamps came on. So whenever you get photopolymer stamps, they always come on a clear sheet, and then they have a clear backing. So you keep the thicker piece, and then you can trim it down and use it for projects like this. So I believe I cut this 1.5 inches, 2 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to cover up that bottle. That way I can move my piece and I don't have to worry about all those little beads falling out. Then I'm going to take another piece, and this piece is just 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around than, or maybe not even 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. It's smaller than the piece I have on the front. That way I can glue it to the back of this. I don't have to worry about it peeking off the sides, and I don't have a weird lump anywhere. It's almost the exact same size, so it covers it well, and then I'll have a nice smooth backing for my piece to fit onto my card base. Alright, so now I have a Blushing Bride card base. This is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and then it's scored at 4 1/4. And then I have a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of that Awash and Beauty. Isn't this pretty? It's a shame, really, to be covering up all these gorgeous flowers. Okay, and then this piece I'm going to place in the center. And then this little piece, I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. And actually, you could probably get away with just using one, but I'm going to use 2. I'm going to place it right there. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool again. And I've got these 2021 to 2023 in color opal rounds. I love these. So I'm going to use a few of them on these flowers. So I'm going to put a bigger one here and here, and I think this one also. We'll get a bigger one, and then I'm going to use the smaller ones in the center of this. I love this card. I like the shaker element of it. I like that there was the little tip inside the catalog to show how to add a little bit of color to the dome. I like just the fun dome element. There's so many good tips, like using the ink pad on the embossing folder to get this fun textured stamp. And I also like, and this is going to seem silly, but I have sometimes a hard time matching colors. That can be challenging for me, and sometimes I can just get a little overwhelmed at the idea, and I need the reminder sometimes that everything doesn't have to be perfectly matchy-matchy. And so what I mean by that is these are in colors. So this is Pale Papaya. It looks like it's glaring. Let's see, there you go. So this piece, these pieces that I used were Pale Papaya, And in my head, a lot of times I think, oh, it's pale papaya. I need to only use it with pale papaya. Or I just need to use it when I'm using the other end colors. I don't know. I don't know why I do that, but I do. So sometimes it's just nice to have that reminder that, hey, no, you can use this with crushed curry and it's going to be fine and it's going to look great. Look at that. I love the way that looks. So now to finish off the inside, I always add a 4" by 5 1/4" piece of basic white cardstock. And you have a couple options here. You can make another tabletop to put on the bottom of this, or you could add a strip of this gorgeous designer series paper. Just whatever you have extra lying around that you could decorate this with. You guys, I was sitting here editing this video and I looked at my card and I thought something is missing. So I forgot to do the ribbon, the bow on the front. So this, I just went ahead and tied a bow really quick because for some reason whenever I tie bows on video it takes me forever. But I'm using the old olive ribbon from the twill ribbon combo in the catalog. And actually, yes, it is in the annual catalog. It can be found on page 145 and you get old olive and Sahara sand twill ribbon with that. So I've already got the bow tied. So what I'm going to do is just grab a glue dot. I'm just going to stick this right here on the glue dot. And then I'm going to use that to attach the bow right here to the front of the bottle. There you go. Super fast, super easy. I just wanted to make sure that you saw that part. Sorry about that. Alright, thank you guys for watching my video, my intro back after being sick. I hope you like this card from the catalog. If there's a card that you would like to see made from one of our current publications, Stampin' Up, let me know and I'll do my best to make it possibly exactly like it is in the catalog, maybe with some minor adjustments or maybe with some major ones, but I'll do whatever I can with what I have. And if you are in the US and don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator that you shop from, I would love to help you with that, and you can place orders anytime on my online store. And you can also send me a message if you have a question about anything Stampin' Up, even if you're not in the US. I don't mind answering those questions. Alright, you guys, have a wonderful week. Happy stamping.